Welcome back to Layer One. I'm James Harris, and over the past few weeks, we've watched as Europe has moved from talk to actual traction. But this one that's happening right now feels a lot different, and let me tell you about it. It's not about actually who's building anymore, it's about who's ready to move first, in my opinion. Across Europe, something big is shifting right now, but it's actually happening quietly. Not in hype videos, it's happening in rooms where regulation meets innovation. The EU sees a real shot to boost competitiveness by accelerating digital assets in financial markets. We touched this a bit on Friday when Luxembourg, one of the 27 EU countries, met Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, alongside Luxembourg's finance minister. That meeting centered on Ripple pursuing MiCA aligned licensing in Luxembourg. And I want to zoom out for a second to where the EU actually is on blockchain. If you've been with the channel for a while, you know MiCA made the EU the first major jurisdiction in the world with comprehensive crypto rules. It's clarity that gives banks permission to lean in, not sit out. And earlier this month, Ripple co-hosted a policy roundtable in Brussels with the European Fintech Association, also called EFA. Think Stripe, Klarna, and Europe's financial technology heartbeat in one room together to talk digital assets and EU competitiveness. And let's take a quick reset. Why Brussels? Well, it's the EU's Washington, D.C., home to the Commission and Parliament. This is where rules for 20 euro dependent countries get shaped. And at that table were regulators and builders side by side, including Peter Kirstens, who is often referred to as the father of MiCA, and also DORA, which is the Operational Resilience Notebook for digital assets and beyond in Europe. And the focus of this, how to keep Europe ahead without slowing innovation to the speed of paperwork. So, why does this matter right now? That Brussels roundtable happened the same week Ripple met Luxembourg regulators. And Luxembourg isn't just friendly. It's one of Europe's most strict, globally respected financial overseers. The finance minister, Gilles Roth, even posted, "Great meeting with Ripple," as they advance towards securing their license to operate in Luxembourg. Okay, James, great information, but what does this really mean? Let me tell you. Ripple is already registered as a VASP in Ireland, which gives them regulatory foothold inside of the EU. Ripple also acquired Switzerland-based Medico for $250 million, which brought institutional custody under a top-tier regulatory environment. The EU's DLT, or Digital Ledger Technology Pilot Regime, went live March 23, 2023. And this lets tokenized financial instruments actually trade, settle on blockchain. The rails that institutions actually need in order to be in this space. So if you're thinking, cool policy talk, but why should I care? Here's the turn. This isn't just rulemaking anymore. It's Europe laying track for money to move cheaper, faster, and with audibility or traceability. And it's inviting companies like Ripple inside the tent to help turn on the lights. And now we get to the payoff. And this hit me, that this isn't just a policy story anymore. It's actually a story about a race that's about to start. The US and Europe are both looking at and about to purchase identical Ferraris. Not really. Give me a second, so just follow me. They both have access to Ripple's technology, the same engine for instant cross-border payments, tokenized assets, and bank-grade custody. But what happens next comes down to instinct and choice. They could take the Ferrari straight off the track, do aftermarket tweaks in real time. And by aftermarket tweaks, I mean adaptive regulation, clearing legacy friction, and they could start learning at speed in real time. Or one or both could go back into the garage to study the blueprints, maybe even try to build their own chain from scratch after meeting with Ripple. But by the time the new car is ready, the first one has already begun flying down the track. And that's the thing about innovation. It doesn't wait for perfection. It rewards motion. Sure, governments may bring Ripple in to peek under the hood of sorts, to copy, to tinker. But while they're trying to do this and that, Ripple has already started logging laps. And what I mean by logging laps, it's in the policy rooms, it's in bank pilots, or regulated rails that have been created. Because even if someone builds, say, a Maserati later, it won't matter if the Ferrari has already took off or taken off. Right now, Europe's framework is live and it's tightening. Banks have clarity. The pilot regime exists. Ripple has regulatory footing and custody infrastructure in place. So if this really is a race, and I think it is, and a race that could be for the next era of finance, the question isn't who has the better car. It's who's brave enough to hit the gas. Ripple has over 10 years of experience, piloting, testing, with brilliant minds that are built around trust, integrity, regulatory clarity. That's today's breakdown from Layer 1 by James Harris. If you learn something new, pass it on to someone who actually wants to understand where finance is headed, not just where prices are going, which is so easy to get caught up in. So I invite you to continue to just look into perspective, to dig deeper, to find out what's actually happening underneath the hood. And until next time, none of this is financial advice, just perspective. See you on the next one.